All right. Great. Okay. Thank you so much for your time today. My name is Aaron Kennelly. I'm here to talk to you about digital customer experience. And when I talk about customers, this could mean anything depending upon your industry. So that could be your patients, it could be doctors, nurses, care techs, whatever it may be. So I only have 15 minutes, so I'm going to talk pretty fast. And I don't want to talk too much about myself, but I do want to do an introduction. I'm a partner at a firm called Celerity. We have a multidisciplinary team of designers, strategists, researchers, agile coaches, change management professionals, and technologists. And we work together to tackle some really complex problems. We help our clients by breaking down their internal silos and using a team-based approach to rapidly identify and test new forms of shared value between our clients and their customers and employees. And so I'd love to connect. Feel free to reach out. And as I go through this, please enter things in the chat. Feel free to try and make this as interactive as possible. I'll keep an eye also on the emoticons and everything as well. So I know this is going to be a really big surprise to everyone. So brace yourself. COVID-19 has led to many changes, ill-defined and unknown. I know. Take a moment, let it sink in. I'm sure this is groundbreaking news for all of you. But one thing is true, and today is more digital than ever. And to borrow from some brilliant folks at MCorp CX, in this digital first, but not just digital multi-channel experience world, our expectations are constantly changing. It's driven by technology changes. It's the competitive offerings are now becoming more and more commoditized, and even hearing about our experiences from our friends and family. And so as the world's expectations continue to change, we must also evolve in order to stay successful. And what that really means for Celerity is we put a focus on accelerating innovation by routinely using design thinking and other types of methodologies to help teams unpack the problems they're facing in order to find and create a new way forward. So it's a solution-based approach to solving problems. And the world of design isn't new. It's been around since the 50s, the 60s, when industrial design came into its own. And it really hit center stage around the 90s, early 2000s. Compared to other managerial practices that are still used today that were developed in the industrial age, it's relatively new for some organizations. So it's a methodology, it's a tool set, it's a mindset that provides structure and language to what many designers do intuitively, and that's to use empathy and to seek out learning, seek out differences, interrogate those differences, and look for new ideas, new ways of concepts, new ways to figure things out. It's extremely useful in tackling complex problems that are ill-defined and unknown. And people are, we'll say demanding. People are demanding experiences that are seamless, that are secure, omni-channel, on demand, and very personalized. And it's not just us as consumers, we are people working in these businesses as well. So it's becoming even more expected from a B2B and a B2C world as well. And to help meet these increasing expectations, organizations are investing a lot in really cool technologies that allow us to understand people's experiences with brands across the array of products and services, from digital interactions to physical touch points. And the one that I'm going to talk about, which is often underappreciated, is the collaboration technology. So it's relatively not as data driven as the rest of the others, but the ability to work visually and work through challenges, ideas as a team, supported by these other amazing technologies, again, is very underappreciated. And I'm curious, by using the chat or a show of emoticons, how many people think they'll be working remotely moving forward? How many people think they'll be working in some sort of hybrid capacity? Can you tell me you think you'll be working in the office a little bit, working from home? I mean, work has definitely changed, and there's been a lot of great things about working remotely, but there's been a number of challenges that I think we've all experienced and faced as well. So it's not just about physical location. This shift has really changed our work habits and expectations. our employees are no longer settling for just good compensation and benefits. They want environments where they can learn, they can thrive, they can grow in their careers, a culture that isn't toxic, they're supported with their ideas. Our own research and work into the employee experience has revealed a lot of really powerful insights into how collaboration, transparency has increased workplace satisfaction and is supported by a number of other studies that show a big shift in digital cultural transformation. And we see time and time again, collaboration is foundational for success. But what does it mean to collaborate in a remote modern workplace? And after all, the business landscape changed, so companies should be collaborating differently as well. The challenge is that communication and collaboration, it has been a struggle for some teams during this time. So how many of you have experienced internet challenges or fun video conferences where everyone joins, turns off their cameras, and I feel like I'm just talking to my computer? So it's been really challenging to connect through these. And that's been one of the things that we wanted to address. And I'm going to talk about a lot more. In healthcare, especially, this is compounded. It's been incredibly challenging to understand how jobs with these high physical proximity were disrupted and how that very rapid change has really affected people's experiences. We're still trying to understand how the amplification of the fear, the anxiety, the stress has been really affecting people in the long run. And with so much focus on vaccines and precautionary measures, what steps have we really taken to help patients and employees overcome this distress? Healthcare is also a place where leaders, technologists, innovation teams, they're often removed from where the products and services are being used. And now more than ever, it's even harder to get into a clinical setting to understand the context of how that's used. And CEOs and decision makers, they're often removed, farthest removed from where customers, patients, employees are actually interacting. So it's really easy now more than ever to sit behind a desk, look at a dashboard, look at a spreadsheet, quantify data, which has its place for understanding experiences and how we are measuring and improving things. But the concern that I have is that it's very easy for now as leaders and decision makers to retreat, let the technology do all the heavy lifting, and try and understand how we're going to understand people's experiences. And so what's great and what we love to do is to bring that experience to those people. So I'm going to show you how we do that really quickly. The unique aspect of design thinking from other approaches is it starts with a deep empathy for people. And so we want to put yourselves in their shoes. We want to understand different perspectives. And it's a very powerful way to tackle complex problems, to align teams, and to focus on solutions. And so I'm going to show you what that looks like since we've taken it digital. I'm going to switch over and talk a little bit about how we've adapted this method for a clinical setting with one of our clients. So here is a digital whiteboard tool that we use called Mural. There's a lot of others out there. And I'm going to walk through a couple scenarios that help us not only build empathy, but also understand how these digital collaboration whiteboards are really powerful for us to connect. So what's neat is this is even better than in person because we're able to add different types of multimedia to understand a little bit more about something. So those of you unfamiliar with dialysis, it's the failure of the kidneys and how this disease happens over time. And there's a treatment called dialysis, which helps you sustain the kidney function while you're looking for replacement or treatment towards resolution. There's a great TED Talk out there that talks about what it's like to be dependent upon one of these dialysis machines. And this interactive type of multimedia allows us to deeply empathize with what people are going through as we talk through it with different leaders, cross-functional, multicultural teams. It's also been a way for clinics to nurses, dietitians, social workers to take pictures of their experiences, to have that uploaded and shared. So even though we're sitting at home, we can see what the experience is like. As you can see, it can be really cold in these clinical settings. People are wearing blankets to stay warm. The treatment takes a couple hours. So they bring, technology, they bring books, they bring laptops to try and entertain themselves. And so I'm going to walk you through just two quick examples on how, before we even dive into building tools, we're trying to solve problems for people. So one of the biggest problems in the healthcare industry is scheduling. People showing up on time. How do you have the appropriate amount of people in the clinic to support the patient care? And there's been a shift in how reimbursements for care are supporting and changing the business models. So it's forcing clinics to staff less people to support a growing population with a growing number of kidney disease. And so we were working on an automated scheduling system to help us understand how we can take something as vague as a schedule and how that works in the real world. So for example, we had here a very optimized efficiency of just a patient care tech and a nurse. What we quickly came to realize is that it takes time for a patient to actually come out here. Oh, here comes the patient in the lobby. Oh, wait, the patient needs to check in with the secretary. Once they check in with the secretary, okay, the patient care tech will then do the COVID screening, walk them back into the clinic, get them weighed, get their vitals. Oh, sorry about that. Get their weight, get their vitals, and then they have to actually move them to one of the dialysis seats. Now, the seats is where they're connected to one of the actual dialysis machines to receive treatment over a couple hours. It takes time to get hooked up to these machines, and it also takes time to get it up and running and make sure that the patient is going safely. So we maximize the efficiency, and we didn't have enough care techs to actually account for the time it takes to get someone on and move patients through the clinic accordingly. So, okay, we have to beef up the amount of patient care techs that we have in order to support this. The next scenario that I'll walk you through before we wrap up today is understanding how we are learning from different contextual scenarios. The next one being, we learned very quickly that a lot of these patients take public transportation and they'll show up in batches. So what happens when a bus full of patients shows up and there's 3 or 4 more patients than you're expecting? So now we have patient care techs that are coming out here and they're scrambling to try and understand how quickly we can screen people, how quickly we can get them in for their vitals, take them back, get them hooked up. This is just a couple scenarios that I wanted to share with you about how powerful it is of a tool to understand how something as abstract as a schedule and making sure that you have a balance between clinical operations, patient safety, and satisfaction all affect things happening in the real world. And so I want to leave you with a little thought as we move forward. We have been working a lot with distributed teams and a lot with in-person teams over the past couple of years. We've come to realize that while we love our paper and our stickies and our whiteboards, as we get back to the office, we still need to use the digital tools that allow us to collaborate with some of our team members that are working remotely. So we anticipate advances in smarter technology, allow us to use more interactive types of multimedia as a team together. And again, no matter how much technology advances, the ability for us to collaborate as human beings is incredibly powerful. And even though we're behind computers, we have to find ways to get creative and bring insights from what's happening in the real world to our desks, to our homes, and how we're engaging and understanding how people are actually working. So we need to hear their stories and listen to them. I'll wrap up with just I would absolutely love to meet you. Feel free to connect with me, reach out to me on LinkedIn, send me an email. I would love to talk. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to answer any questions you have, love to connect. Thank you all so much for your time. Stay safe. Nothing but love to you and yours, and have a great day.